Is there a nice pedal here for my foot?
No.
Good, because I thought they were on one, but no, it's just not on there. So this one has a spindle. That's what this part's called. This is the thing that Sleeping Beauty is famous for touching. This one won't hurt you though, so I'll let anyone who would like to touch it, you are so welcome. Touch that. Is that sharp?
You might fall asleep.
You might, and I suggest any of the adults who would like to touch it are welcome to. You might need a nap this afternoon.
That's right. Yeah, don't
Maybe a
try
warm
to
day.
make it poke you.
Okay, so has everybody had, almost everyone's had a turn. There you go. Now if you'll step back, I'll show you how different this is. Okay, this spinning wheel has me do the work. It's called a walking wheel, and I'm the one who has to walk back, and then after I get some on there, I have to go like this, and I walk it in. If I did this all day long, I'd walk about 9 miles, and my job would be called what? If this was my occupation, what would I be called? And I'm asking the adults this time. I'd be called a spinster.
Spinster.
A spinster. Now, often people think that word means that I would be a single woman. And in 2008, it often means that. In 1860, it does not, however. It means it's my occupation is spinning. And if I was a mother of these children, or who are the mothers in the room? And you used to be a mother, I'm sure. Your children are grown. Would you have time to sew their clothes by hand and make dinner and take care of the children and have an occupation outside of your home?
No.
No. And so the women who were spinsters were women who either hadn't married or still were teenagers or their children were grown. And so over time, that occupation, because typically single women held it, it has come to evolve to represent a single woman. But it does not mean that in the 1800s. Now these yarns up here that you can see behind me, these are yarns that after we've made the yarns, we've cooked different plants. And do you see how many? I'll get out of the way. How many different colors you can get from plants? There are many different colors that we can get. Now these are all plant dyed except these two right here are bug dyed. And if you'll let me walk over here to the mantle, let me kind of get through you if you would, I'll let you look at these bugs. They're from Mexico, and the pioneers could scent for these. They would come dried, and if you grind them up, they make that nice red color. And they look like little tiny squares, and that is the whole bug, and they're these little cochineal bugs. Now, if in pioneer time, you wanted to get something else red, like a hard candy, what would you do?
You don't look like
Yeah, well, but they are a different, they kind of are like a potato bug, but they're like a little tiny square potato bug. Okay, do you see that?
Okay, you've seen it.
Okay, if you've seen it, beat me back, and let's let everybody else come up here. Sometimes the adults like looking at it too. Okay, so if you wanted to make a red hard candy, what would you do? What would you need to put in there? A little bit of cochineal bugs.
Sure.
Cochineal's been used for hundreds of years also with some makeup, with some things. Now in 2008, do you ever use cochineal bugs?
No.
Probably.
Yes, you do. That's right, sir. In 2008, are you at something called a grocery store? Do you have those?
Yeah.
We don't have those here in the village. We have a ZCMI, but in 2008, when you go home, you have a grocery store, and there are things that will show up with cochineal bugs. The most easy to find are one of the Sobe drinks has some cochineal in it. That cranberry grapefruit lean. If you get the diet one, lean. It says cochineal or color. So that's a fun thing. Now, different plants are needed to make different kinds of colors. We don't only use bugs. And so these yarns right here are the colors that we have dyed this summer from this garden right here in the back. They're yarns we've spun, and then we've dyed them. Now this week's batch these are from hollyhock leaves, this batch, this yarn right here, and this one is from pear leaves, from the pear tree. You can see we make nice colors. This one we did a few weeks ago. This is marigold and coreopsis flowers. This one's from yarrow flowers. And this is from the walnut husks down by the Brigham Young home. Walnut can also make a much darker brown. It depends on how much you put into the water, so it can make a light color as well.
Does it wash out?
Now, that is a good question, and that I'm going to talk to you about with this other purple one. I was not here that day, and I have to tell you, this one was dyed with blackberries. And so this one is going to be the experiment. because usually the berry dyes don't hold the color very well. Sometimes you can wash them out, sometimes not, but the sunshine will cause it to bleach to kind of a tan color. So by next summer, this one, I want to hang on to this one and see what happens to it. Because this one is going to be the one out of these that may change because it's a food dye. The rest of these, being plant dyes, are stable because we put something in the water called a mordant, and it locks in the color and it helps the color stick onto the wool very well. Okay. So some of these colors we've made with flowers. We've talked about flowers. This one is a root that grows on this very first plant right here called madder. When the children come out here, several of you have short and bare legs showing, and that plant will kind of make you itchy. It won't hurt you, but it will make you kind of itchy. So it would be nice if you just kind of walked around it. But we have it because it has a wonderful orange root. And that orange is a color that we need. It has an orange color when you dig it up, kind of like a carrot. And if we chop it up and soak it with water, that's how we get a nice color. This blanket right here on the door, sir, if you wouldn't mind kind of holding out a corner of that so that salmon color would show. Can people see that? That blanket was made here on this loom, and this dye is what that salmon is. Okay? So, does anyone have any questions? No one's fallen asleep from touching my spindle. It looks like you'll all be all right. Okay? If you'd like to, you can go explore the garden. I ask that you stay on the paths. And if one of the adults are with you, they can read the sign that tells you the colors that come from that plant.